Greetings everyone, here's Lodrik and this is the game won the Pacific Admirals Edition. This is my play-by-email match against Italien. He's a Japanese commander and for me this is airline side. This is now January 25th, 42 turn. We will maybe see a battleship engagement at Balikpapan this night or day. But first, Japanese cruiser is formation here in Mindanao intercept my supply runners. I try to sneak in some supplies, but not possible. They are always guarding my port. Luckily, only 2 cargo ships are lost. The rest can escape. And here we have the engagement. The Japanese battleship fleet and the British battleship fleet. That was 4-inch, but no penetration. Again, no penetration. So this night engagement at 11,000, so this is more or less at a shorter range for battleships, but more or less like a cruiser engagement. I had yesterday information about this task force, so I know exactly what is here. And I simply hope that I don't get a torpedo attack or hit on my side too early. Now we're closing in on 4,000 yards. Belt armor hit but no penetration. So Repulse is a battle cruiser. This was a penetration hit just now. And again, next penetration hit. Now I make my 15-inch shell hit on ISIL. At this distance, more or less both main capital guns will maybe penetrate the belt armor. Because it's simply too close. You have too much kinetic energy still in your shells. And the game really calculates this. I first didn't believe it, but yeah, shorter distance have more penetration. So my 200mm belt armor of Repulse will have no chance against the 14-inch of the Japanese. The 360mm of Prince of Wales, maybe 50-50. But at the same time, my 15-inch guns, more or less, can penetrate without big issue the 300mm of the Japanese battleships. You can see if you hit more or less every shell is here now a penetration hit. The question is really if you hit this structure and only make system damage and fire, or if you make a belt hit engine and flooding damage. And Repulse take here too many hits in too short time, so this is not really a good start. I would say Repulse is already crippled and out of action. But before Repulse go out, they send out some torpedoes and I get a torpedo hit on the Japanese battleship. And British torpedoes are powerful. Yeah, and Houston is also of course here, and try with 8-inch something. If I could choose, I would of course ask Houston to attack the light cruiser. My light cruisers take care of the destroyers, and my destroyers attacking the battleship, and my battleships taking also on the battleships. That would be of course the best setup. But this is up to the commander. So far I would say this is a mixed bag. Repulse is heavily damaged But for the Japanese, both battleships are only damaged. So the question is if Prince of Wales will take action and enter the battle sooner or later. Up to now, only Repulse was punching back. Ah yeah, this here is Boise. But I don't expect much from Boise because the 6-inch guns, they are good for killing destroyers, but yeah, not against battleships. So one of my destroyers, this was a Clemson class destroyer, went down. But they are only here to cover my battleships for torpedo attacks. Prince of Wales just make a hit on all easily penetration, no problem. These are of course 4-inch or 4.5-inch guns. This is they have a flak. There's no chance that they penetrate. More engine damage, tower damage, more tower damage, and a third, and the structure damage. Repulse is more or less dead in the water. It cannot maneuver more, so this is why the Japanese, they can easily hit now. But if all the shells are going only for Repulse, Prince of Wales can maybe make the next attack run and cripple the Japanese ships. Now you can see the fire starts more seriously. And even if both sides losing now each one battleship, I would say a 1-to-1 kill ratio is always a win for the Allies in the long run. And because it's a night engagement and most of the ships have no radar, not many shells really hit. This is also the reason why I take the two British battleships. They both have radar, so they have a decent chance to score a hit without the super good training. But crew training of the British ships are much better than the Americans. And this is the end of Repulse. Repulse is a true battle cruiser, similar to the Congo class. They are really good for killing enemy heavy cruisers and light cruisers, but they are simply not the best for taking a battleship on. In long range, Repulse would maybe be fine because you have more deck shell hits, but in this close range, a battle cruiser is really, if you don't have a German battle cruiser, then forget it. It's risky. So I took this risk. I know this was possible and it's happened, but at the same time I can maybe take out 2 Japanese battleships. It's still a win for me. But the battle is not over, so let's see. So, but here you can see 2 hits, 1 structure hit, 1 penetration hit. Belt armor, no, this was again structure. And the Japanese light cruisers, they're really only destroyer killers and nothing else. Prince of, Prince of Wales also get a hit, but this is only fire damage. And the 8-inch, yeah, deck hits, system damage, fire. This can support to burn out the ship. Again, 5.5 inch was 14 centimeter, barely ever penetrate any light cruiser build armor. More hits on Prince of Wales, but only structure damage. Still Japanese torpedoes in the water, and always dangerous. So far, only Repulse was able to get a torpedo hit. All other ships are failing to score anything. So, structure hit. Belt armor hit. So the Japanese light cruisers have a good belt armor, but they simply have far too small guns. So the 6-inch sometimes can penetrate Japanese light cruisers, but the Japanese light cruisers shells can, I think, never penetrate a belt armor. If it's a half decent light cruiser. The Dutch light cruiser with super thin belt armor is maybe other topic, but we don't have only so many of them. So we are back to 10,000 yards. Yes, this was a flag gun, just gets destroyed. A little fire damage on Durban. only 14 centimeter. The next big shell hit on ice, but only structure damage. And because it's now 10,000 yards and almost 3,000 or 4,000 yards, the amount of hits are much smaller. The structure hit, again also structure hit for me, but this was the penetration hit. So even on 7, now okay, we're back to 7,000. 7,000 belt armor, no issue to penetrate for the Prince of Wales. So many misses. Now we are back to 5,000. That is maybe not my taste. Yeah, hit. That was heavy fleck. Next hit, critical damage. And there was also a penetration hit on Nagara. Express looks not so good. So I have many burning ships, but okay, destroyers. Yeah, Express looks not good. Let's say this. All the rest, this looks terrible, but if you know what kind of damage the ships had to suffer so far, I would say the cruisers are all fine, and also Prince of Wales. This was most of them are structure damage, so you have a lot of fire damage, but not flooding damage. All missing the target. And ice is going down. So now it's 1-1. But this also means that Prince of Wales can focus now on the last Japanese battleship, and there was, I think, 2 hits, 3 hits, engine hits, structure hit. The next internal explosions. This was just a Japanese main tower exploded. Oh, 2,000 yards. This, if you don't hit now, I mean, there is 1,000 yards distance, but very special. 2,000 is normally the closest what's happened. Yeah, Express get a hit. Penetration. Fire and flooding together is simply too much for the crew. Now it's the Japanese destroyers getting damage and burning. And there's next penetration hit. And magazine explosion. I guess this is the end for the Japanese battleship formation here. And yeah, two older class battleships, both of the ISO class, are lost for Italian in this battle. And so far I lost only Repulse, but Express is also, I think, gets a going down. Yeah, I just lost my main guns on Express. And now the range widens. So I guess that also both task forces are now low on ammunition. Yeah.
Hello, you fighting orphans of the Pacific. This is your favorite enemy, Orphan Anne, at Radio Tokyo, with music to lift your spirits and words to depress your morale. But first, Imperial General Headquarters announced today that the Imperial Navy has achieved another great victory near Balikpapan, with the sinking of 2 carriers, a battleship, and numerous cruisers and destroyers.
So it was at the end a successful battle. 2 Japanese battleships are destroyed. How important these battleships are is another topic, because There was a reason why the Japanese in real life not really use this kind of ships much. They consume a lot of fuel, they don't have many guns, but their protection is too weak to go toe-to-toe normally with any Queen Elizabeth Revanche class battleship of the British fleet and everything. Yeah, and also most of the American battleships are simply stronger and more capable. So you can use these battleships, I would say, to 80% only for shelling and nothing else. I lost Repulse, was in the beginning simply unlucky, too many hits too fast. But Repulse also took out one or at least one of the battleships, so it was a 101. So I guess this is okay, a good exchange. Express looks lost. Yeah, and also lost John D. Edwards. Whipple is maybe lost and Express is lost. So maybe if I lose Repulse and 3 destroyers to kill 2 enemy battleships is a win. Yeah. Express is going down. Fast transport. And the British submarine also arrived here. Take out a light cargo ship. Yeah, not super important, but yeah. That is ships surviving the slaughter of the night. Maybe the Japanese ships are low on ammunition because they don't engage more. That is a single destroyer I send normally out to meet my British fleet. Then he was not able to find the fleet, so he's not engaging the rest left over Japanese task force on its own. And it is a smaller destroyer, so I don't really have much hope. And we have at daytime. We will see how Scout can handle so much firepower. Yoo-hoo, I get a hit on Nagara, but only structure hit. But the Japanese are low on ammunition, so they don't really want fight. Oops, the deck penetration. But only penetration, nothing special, so that is acceptable. Structure hit. So long I don't have engine damage, it's fine. Oh, we're closing again. Everyone asked to leave here. One more structure hit. And break up. So there was one hit on Nagara, but did nothing. And I have 2 or 3 structure hits. Luckily, no belt penetration. This means also that my torpedo boats was not able to locate and attack the Kidobutai. And Kidobutai is going again for Pago Pago. So this is a port strike, I guess. And there are some PT boats and other equipment getting damaged or sunk outright. This is all the cheap ships, nothing too special, or it was ships that simply was damaged. I could not really escape. Also one destroyer is here. That is a little pity, but yeah. There must be also some joy for Italian. So with his carriers, he's still blocking all of my effort to build up Pago Pago or Fiji. There's now the standard attacks here, China. And some other ships trying to escape, but yeah. Torpedo bombers going for my navy, and the dive bombers went for a port strike. Patrol boat and mine tender. I also asked my patrol boats to go for long range navy strike, and you can see here I dropped some bombs on Nagara with penetration. If the game now says these are 2 bombs or 4 bombs, I'm not so 100% sure because of this bottleneck mod. You can see 2 bomb hits, but it should be 4. Anyway, Nagara is now also heavily damaged and on fire. So 2 battleships down and a light cruiser more or less lost because it's too far away from any base. Now a sinking sound, but it's hard for me to detect if it's Japanese ships or my own ships. I see that some of my own ships going down, but Nagara, I don't know. And the next attack here, Licio. Fort is broken, but no 1-to-1. So casualties, I would say, is a victory for me. But it will, of course, be hard to maintain this position much longer. And that was a turn. So there was some action again. Some good and some not so good for me. We had some days ago the Australian cruiser formation fighting the Japanese heavy cruiser. That was maybe a small victory for me, but it's hard. He lost the destroyers, I lost the light cruiser. Now I think it was more a clear victory for me at Balikpapan. Good. It was a longer turn. Air losses. More or less all this the same, I would say, or typical. There are not so many dead dive bombers, that for sure. This navy search is going down with the battleships. They have normally 3 per ship, so could be that there was one air wing with lower aircraft, I don't know. So So maybe 5 to 6, but could be also 2 and 2 plus something else. But at the end, this number is 2. The 11 aircraft are destroyed for the Japanese and 5 for me. And for me, it is the Catalinas flying out troopers in the Philippines. 2 Navy search went down with repulse, and the Catalina is lost by other stuff. Maybe also carrying troopers. That means I had here still 4 killed pilot and 1 wounded. So all of my aircraft pilots had an issue. Ship sunk. Last this is last turn. So many ships went down this last turn, but the only stuff what really matters was up here, you can see. So I lost some small equipment stuff in Pago Pago, yeah, that is true. John D. Edwards sunk at Balikpapan, yeah. Express also sunk. Express is a E-class destroyer. These are good, capable destroyer and a very powerful anti-submarine destroyers, but it's only a destroyer. John D. Edwards is a Clemson-class destroyer. They are not the best surface engagement ships, but they are good escort ships, so they're also good for anti-submarine later on. You can see that the ships are all more or less the same value, 202, 204, it doesn't matter. Durability of 142, that is maybe, and 143, so you can see they have the same amount of meat, so the punishment they can take. But yeah, this overall, if I say all dates and if I only check for battleships, you can now see that I lost 3 Japanese, 3 American and 1 British battleship. If I put them together, battleships, battle cruisers. So it's now 4 Allied ships lost and 2 Japanese ships lost. All of these ships more or less are equally good or not so good. You can see West Virginia with 16-inch guns. That was similar good to Repulse. This kind of ships as a class is for me really a little... They are good cruiser killers, but nothing else. And without radar, yeah, I mean, you get with a radar for so late for the Japanese. It's not the most important ship to lose for the Japanese player, but of course, this is asset. There is a lot of shell weight you could use to bombard and suppress enemy bases. Good. And if I check destroyer losses, this is of course now heavily fog of war, because I really don't know if there are maybe more Japanese destroyers went down or if this is true. I don't count them up to now, but you can see the amount of destroyers I lost. So 5 for the US Navy, the French, and 2 British. And maybe equal number of Japanese ships went down. So 1-to-1 kill ratio at destroyers, 2-to-1 kill ratio for battleships. In cruisers, it's clear victory. I would also say, you can see I killed the scout cruiser. This is like 2 heavy cruisers. Then it's 1 to 1.5. Yeah. And 1-to-1 kill ratio is always a victory for the Allies, I would say. 1-to-2 kill ratio is the minimum Japan must achieve, normally 1-to-3, to have any chance to keep the Allies under control for at least a half or 1 year. And in summer 43, the amount of reinforcements for the Allies are arriving is simply normally, if you are not robbed, I would say easily to crash the Japanese over time. Good, so everything else at Hawaii I don't need to discuss, so I would maybe simply only go to the hotspots. Kido Butai I missed with my torpedo boats again, but my submarines arrive now, so I can use now submarines and torpedo boats. Maybe I get a lucky hit and I only need one hit. One slow ship is a much easier target to have the next torpedo hit. But the rest of my ships are now here in port are burning, but all are very cheap ships. I think only the AV have maybe a value. Yeah, okay, that is a better AV, but I don't really care AVs too much, and I have so many of these small AVs. There's nothing really needed on my side for this kind of ships. I will see if they burn out or not. The only ship what I would care is the destroyer, but I don't know if he's lost already or not. Still, there are some ships I maybe will try to run away now. Yeah, here's the destroyer, Clemson class destroyer. But this damage, I mean, I will not kill a lot of aircraft, but it will create a lot of damage for the dive bombers to attack here. And this damage cannot repair in 2 or 3 days, so I don't know how many dive bombers are back and how, and every turn he stay here longer, it's a risk simply that a torpedo boat or a submarine will score a hit. The next hit, I mean, I had already 2 torpedo hits on Kaga, but Kaga was maybe the only carrier can handle torpedo hits very well. Good. Here is now the situation that I still see these ships, and I don't think they are tankers, as are maybe also cruisers. There's a Japanese cruiser formation here, but without shells, so must fall back to the Palau Islands. I have here 2 submarine groups more or less blocking the retreat of the Japanese fleet, but the Japanese fleet is now down to only 6 or 7 empty destroyers. Maybe Nagara is still alive, but also wrecked. My ships are in Balikpapan. They stand down after this battle because no shells more. And you can see that there is some damage against 2 of my destroyers. It's fine. Mauritius also took a 14-inch shell hit, but luckily only 1. But it's a damage. We need to port. Prince of Wales took a lot of beating, a lot of not penetration hits for the belt armors, not too many, but still some. So I have of course no shells, so Prince of Wales is for sure out of action and need some repair, but it's still afloat. I have here now still 3 the Dutch light cruisers, and yeah, this is all. So I could now destroy the Japanese destroyers if I want this, but maybe I wait one day and see what the submarines can do. And this is a lonely destroyer. The Scout was able to, or was not able to catch the task force before the night battle. And you can see that all the shells don't really create a lot of damage because there was only deck or structure hits. So you create system damage and some fire, and fire is at the end again system damage. But if you don't make belt hits is normally flooding damage, engine damage, and this will really create stress for the ship. Good. So maybe the Scout can survive, and the Scout would be not really a good escort, but it's escort, at least something I can use. So this is the situation. A tactical victory for me and also a strategic victory for me. Now we will see how the ships can, Italian must now fall back to Tarakan, and then from Tarakan maybe back to Hong Kong and repair there. And I will maybe let him go because I simply say I only protect my own bases, but I will not go for enemy bases and hunt him down or actively. Good, but I will put my submarines in position to see if I can catch 1 or 2 ships retreating. The rest is nothing to discuss, I would say. Then see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.